Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And as I was going to say before, since this is just a single member district meeting, we do not have to go through this meeting through Robert's Rule of Order. We're just going to make sure we go through everything timely. I'm going to listen to questions or comments and concerns from you, the constituents. And, we're just going to continue to do this work together because I know I can't do this without the support and help of many of you on the phone and folks that are not here tonight. So hold on, I'm going to switch my screen. I'm going to switch my screen to the recap of the last SMD meeting. Okay. Can folks see this?
Yes.
Hello,
Okay.
Gordon. I think we can.
Okay, great. Want to make sure. Hey, Betty, how you doing?
How you doing there, Gordon?
Good, good. I'm glad to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here. How's the wife?
The wife is good. She's upstairs right now. Wife is
That's
good.
good.
Thank you for that.
That's good.
uh, so as we see, our last meeting was February 18, 2020. Um, it was shortly before that I coordinated a walkthrough with DDOT, with our Ward 5 representative from DDOT, Kelly Olson, Mrs. Kelly Olson. We talked about sidewalk repairs, talked about monitoring the installation of a residential parking permit along 400 Galloway Street. Collaborated with Mr. Bill Smith on issues experienced by a visually impaired citizen on the 700 block of Emerson Street. And I know, if I'm not mistaken, Miss Uchenna Evans, the former president of the LRCA, that's something that she helped make sure happened and got done for the community, along with Robert Oliver, David Kasab, and many others. So I'm glad to know that that's something that got taken care of. We also participated in the DC Comprehensive Plan amendments. I know the council is set to vote on like the comp plan soon as well. I believe the first week in May. Um, Also had ongoing discussions around construction issues with the KFRIX Foundation. We have representatives from the KFRIX here this evening, so we'll hear from those representatives. Next, you see we had a recap of our April ANC meeting of 2020. I'm not going to go into that. Thereafter, we actually heard from Mr. Paul Tummins, the real estate attorney for Gloucester and Stores, who represents KFRIX and our place at Fort Totten. Talked about some approved changes to the phase 2. I know we're going to hear more about that tonight. And that change had to do with the increase in the height of the family entertainment zone, and that was changed to drummed up by 18 inches. So, and you see all the other updates regarding that, those updates here. Again, I'm not going to go into everything because we have Paul and Sean here to go into that in depthly. Thereafter, some more activities within ANC 5808. I selected Miss Deborah Grimstead as the KFRIX Foundation liaison. She's been doing an amazing job in that role. We're going to hear from Deborah a little bit later on as well. Thereafter, my goal is to always bring all different entities within 5808 at our single member district meetings so we can have conversations just about ANC 5808. So we heard from Joanna Smith, the regional director, Angel McNeil, the founding principal, and I was happy to say that just this past weekend, I had the opportunity to tour Rocket Ship Charter School along with Miss Sherry Pate, and it was a beautiful building. They're going to have between 700 and 800 students in the building with 3 feet social distancing come fall 2021. But we'll hear more from Rocket Ship later on. We had some Lamont Riggs Library updates. I want to be very clear. The Lamont Riggs Library does not sit in my single member district. And so I want to give respect to Commissioner Damian McDuffie, the new commissioner for that area. That is that's within his SMD. However, since Robert Oliver the president of the Lamont Riggs Library Friends is within ANC 5808. We always are lucky enough to get updates from him. So I just want to make sure that's understood. ANC commissioners never want to go into another SMD without first informing and talking with that commissioner out of respect for the position. Okay, so we had some other community concerns that were raised about the COVID-19 testing site at UDC Bacchus. I think we've all seen that testing site has been very helpful, albeit it has created a lot of traffic congestion, and that's something that myself and other commissioners have talked to DDOT about decreasing as best as possible. But I think we all can say that either ourselves or somebody we know benefited from that COVID site being right here within the parameters of ANC 5A. We also heard about some DDOT taking a leadership role in managing future construction traffic, DPW addressing future rodent control issues. I'm glad to say that within my block right around the corner from where I live, I had about 15 residents come together to get rodent control extermination. So if there's anyone that needs any assistance with rodent control extermination, please reach out to me, because those are some of the services that are provided from the District of Columbia. So we can help you make sure that you are rodent free as the weather gets warmer and warmer. The park's role in maintaining a small business sector. I actually had got a call from Edwin Washington today, who was the president, executive director of the Park Street, Main Street. I need to reach back out to him. So we'll get some more updates about that. And like always, I have to continuously thank Miss Uchenna Evans for her blog. You know, I know that's a blog that many residents within ANC 5A and just the greater Ward 5 community, maybe just DC, goes to for reliable, concrete information. So always want to say thank you for that, Uchenna. So those are just some updates from our last SMD meeting. Now I'm going to switch to some updates from our last Ward 5 ANC 5A ANC meeting. That meeting was held on Wednesday, March 24th. For those that do not know, ANC 5A hosts our monthly meeting every fourth Wednesday at 6:45. And until further notice, those meetings will continue to be virtual. We have our next meeting tomorrow. You should have received notice about that meeting. If you did not, let me know. I'll get you that information. Some highlights from there. Lieutenant Shouts, he came on. Really appreciate the work of MPD for district, as they always have somebody to come on to talk about crime and other related matters, public safety matters in ANC 5A. One of the big things that we did discuss was that there is unfortunately an uptick in gun violence and car thefts, carjackings. So we all need to be very vigilant and have our situational awareness going as we are going in and out of our cars, especially as the weather gets nicer and nicer. I was just with Commissioner Lockett. He's the commissioner for ANC 5A02, and there was a resident in his community, a nice man, nice gentleman. He was carjacked. He had 3 cars. Out of nowhere, he was going to his car. His back was to his car. Two individuals, more than likely males, just came down the street, saw him from a distance, had his back turned. He walks with a walker, a cane. So, it was probably a crime of opportunity, and took his car, brand new car, right? This was maybe a week and a half ago. So let's just all continue to let's be vigilant. I tell my wife, Brittany, please be careful when you're coming in and out of the car at all times. But we'll talk more about that with public safety. Miss Betty, you have your hand raised.
Right. I have a question. Where was this location that this happened, Gordon, please?
Hold on 1 second. Let me. hopefully I can tell you.
You can get back to it.
It's 4932 Sergeant Road Northeast.
4932 Sergeant.
Yeah, right up the street.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So we also had at our last ANC meeting, we had Nokomis Hunter from the mayor's office bring greetings and updates. He's the new MOKER. He's the newest MOKER, the mayor's office of community relations. And so he brings updates from the mayor's office directly to ANC 5A. If anyone would like to speak to Nokomis, please reach out to me and I'll get you his contact information. We also heard from Councilmember McDuffie's office by way of Silas Grant. He discussed to support housing authority buildings with vaccinations, discuss budget priorities, making a request for violence interruption teams in Riggs Park, because Commissioner McDuffie has been doing an amazing job dealing with the public safety issues that are plaguing his single-member district. Also, Councilman McDuffie's advanced social economic framework to introduce comprehensive cannabis plan. He plans a town hall in the future about recreational cannabis and social equity. Discussion of long-lasting impact of COVID-19. A town hall will be planned in the future, and a comprehensive plan update. So looking to hold a vote in April prior to the budget. Again, these are updates from our meeting in March. Some other key community updates. Catholic University, they came on to discuss some zoning amendments that they're looking to do. They also plan to be back in person full time in the fall with those vaccinated, of course. Lastly, here there was a discussion around bike share. I'm not sure, for those that do not know, there was a well-known cyclist. I forget his name right now, but a well-known cyclist that died from while biking maybe 2 weeks ago in Ward 2. So as we continue to go back to more normalcy and we talk about different ways for transportation, we know that there's a good chance that not as many residents will be prone to take metro or public transportation right away. So biking is going to be something that even more folks are going to be doing. So we want to have further discussions around biking safety, because I think some of the issues that we've focused in on Ward 5, especially ANC 5A, from our public safety task force meeting that we had in January or a couple of months ago, is gun violence is an issue and traffic is an issue. So we have to find ways to work through traffic, especially in this area of Ward 5 with South Dakota Avenue. So those are some updates, key things that happened at our last March ANC meeting, as I said. And I also want to recognize, because I believe Mr. Bowser is on the call right now. Hello, Mr. Bowser. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you, First Father. And we made sure to note of the passing of your daughter last month as well, Mr. Bowser. So, as your neighbor, as your commissioner, and as a mentee of yours, I just want to say again, condolences to you and your entire family. And that's something we made sure to do at our last ANC meeting in March.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I'm here. Leslie.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad you're here, Mr. Bowser. Okay, so that's it in terms of the updates from the SMD meeting and the last ANC meeting. So now we're going to go to updates at other place at Fort Totten. I believe we have Sean and Paul are on the line. And I also want to again recognize Deborah Grimstead, who is my ANC 5A08's liaison for this project. And so Deborah, is there anything that you want us to know before we give the floor over to Sean and Paul?
No, take it away, Sean.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Sean Cahill. Gordon, I don't believe that Paul is on the line, but okay. I can update you as to where we are.
Okay.
with the project. We went out in October of 2020 with the final documents for pricing and also for the permits. So we are in DCRA for our building permits. We are through the first round of comments and have responded to those. We expect possibly a second round, but a very light on the comments, because we met with DCRA and each of the reviewers on Zoom meetings to go over their comments to make sure that when we got them the answers, that they were complete and comprehensive. So we would be looking for a permit by the end of May or the middle of June. So another 4 to 6 weeks for the building permits that would allow us to commence construction. We also went out for pricing, and our contractor is LF Jennings. The pricing has come back in. It is much different than what we anticipated. There is a very large increase in costs for materials throughout the industry. So we are working with LF Jennings on that and trying to get a handle on it. And we also have gone out with our financing package to the financing market back in the third week in March, and we are looking for responses probably by the middle of June on the financing side. Right now, there are no major changes that we have to the project. We may come back with some minor changes once we get started, which deal with the way that the drum will look, the fins on the drum. They're not asking for anything more than aesthetic and bringing everybody up to speed on the aesthetic side. We did have earlier in the month, there was a car crash on South Dakota Avenue that went into the fencing. We had that repaired. It was knocked down a fair amount of the fencing along South Dakota. We're trying to keep up with the signage. We have met with both schools and are making sure that we're coordinating the work that the social justice school is putting in to make sure that we're not covering up any work, or we'll have to undo any work that they are doing right now, because they're in front of us. Other than that, I'm happy to take any questions, or Deborah, if you've got anything you think you need to add.
Yeah, thank you for those updates, Sean. Yeah, I know for me, one of the big things that I always want to ensure, and it sounds like you're doing it, at least with Social Justice School, is that all the development that's happening, like there is some connectivity between all entities, right? That you're all speaking to one another to ensure the most efficient way to go about construction, trucks, things of that nature, and just traffic. So that's one thing, Sean, I guess comment / question to want to just make sure that's something that is still at the forefront of your mind and your team.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Gordon. We are in contact with both the schools pretty routinely. As you know, those buildings are owned by K-Fritz, and so we are trying to coordinate that as best we can. We are also coordinating with Greystar because we're doing some work on that piece of 3rd Street. We'd like to extend 3rd Street all the way down and connect it to Kennedy. And that is something that Greystar is required to do if they continue with any of their additional development that they have on that property. We're trying to work with them to see if they'll lean in and help us do that a little bit earlier, and that instead of having just a bike path, but actually have Third Street connect through. So that's one of the things that we're working on as well.
Okay. We have two questions. I see we have Miss Betty, and then we have Uchenna in the chat. So Miss Betty, you first.
I just have a question. Sean Cahill?
Cahill, yes.
Okay, what is your position again for the property?
I represent, I work for the Calvin Cafritz Enterprises, and the Calvin Cafritz Enterprises is the development company that is in charge of the development for the Cafritz Foundation.
I have a question. I noticed that the fence there on 4th Street has been down, and persons are going through that area with dogs. And I think that's not a secure situation, because that fence is down, making it possible for persons to transport themselves on that property with the construction implements that are there.
Okay, that's good to know. We will look at that. I will let LF Jennings know that tonight to take care of it tomorrow. I was out there twice last week on Monday and Thursday. I also wanted to pull that dumpster that is sitting there, so that the dumpster gets out of there as well.
Yeah, because it's very hazardous. You know, when you look out from the rooftop where we are now, you can see dogs and their owners sitting on the created hills on the property, and you know that's not safe.
I agree. I thank you for letting me know.
Thank you, Mr. Cahill.
Thank you, Betty, for that. Okay, Uchenna, she posed a question in the chat. She asked, are there still tenants at Riggs Plaza? Will the remaining buildings be torn down?
So there is, yes, Mr. Charles is still there. There is a mediation that is scheduled for May 13th. There was a hearing that took place last Monday, and I think what the judge is doing is basically saying everybody get to a mediation table. So we have a scheduled meeting on May 13th. The way that the project is designed, we can start a significant amount of construction with the one remaining building staying in place. We would like not to do that. We would like to be able to come to terms with Mr. Charles and have that last building torn down and clear the site in its completeness.
Okay. Thank you, Sean.
Sean, this is Deborah. Can you mention what is the expected completion date, best case scenario for the project?
We're looking at the second quarter of 2024, where the project would be completed and most of the spaces, the retail spaces, occupied.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to stick with Uchenna, and then I'm going to recognize Robert. Uchenna's second question is to Sean: has the scope of plans for any of the interested tenants, museum, Fez, etc., changed at all?
So that is a very good question. There is a change in the tenant of Meow Wolf. They were taking space in the family entertainment zone, the Fez. They did not make it through the pandemic, so they have gone into a Chapter 7 mode. And so we are replacing them with another experiential retailer that will be in the rotunda in some of the same area that Meow Wolf had. Other than that, the Children's Museum and the food hall, the Aldi's, all of those are still on target, and all those tenants have survived.
Okay. Thank you. Hey, Edwin, thank you for joining. And I know I owe you a call. So, and I said that today too. So thank you for being here. All right, Robert, you have the floor now.
I'll just make this very quick. Working with Deborah, we have been able to provide each of the construction sites with copies of what was going on in each site. For instance, the library just released a construction notice, about maybe a week or two ago. And I believe, pardon?
No, keep going, Robert.
And a week or so ago, a couple weeks ago, the same was true for K-Fritz Foundation. Nothing is happening with Chick-fil-A just yet. So I think until they start work, there's nothing for them to report. And I believe a document may or may not have been issued from EYA on Riggs Plaza, but I'm not sure. I'd have to check into that. But that's basically it. So far, we've been able to support providing everyone with an updated construction notice, both the various construction sites and the community.
Okay. Thank you, Robert. Thank you. Sean, any comments, any remarks to that, or are you good?
Well, we've been giving updates every other week. As we get under construction, those will go to a weekly update, and I would anticipate that Deborah will know things as fast as I know them, and the contractor knows them, with things that are going on the site that may impact either traffic or, whether there's most of the issues with utilities has been done. All the utility work and the changeovers have been done. So there, outages and things like that, that's all behind us.
Okay, thank you. And just a quick reminder, if you're not speaking, can you please make sure that you're on mute? I think in the Zoom world, we all do that at least once or twice a day. So just a quick reminder. Okay, so I think we have all questions answered here. Thank you, Sean. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure, Betty, because you had put your hand down, so I wasn't sure. Okay, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just had a question. So Deborah is the liaison as far as we concern, as far as you have allocated for the project for Riggs Plaza?
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
So I could contact her to get any pertinent documentations?
Absolutely. You can. You contact her, you contact me, but yeah, you could definitely contact her for sure.
Yeah, because I've noticed some of the stop signs, one in the alley has been torn down, and so persons are just running stop signs, as well as they're parking in the alley. That used to be a ticket. Yeah, you used to get a ticket for parking in the alley, but now when you're trying to get out of the garage, you have all these automobiles there, and you can't get out.
Yeah, Betty, this is Deborah. I'm looking forward to parking enforcement going back into effect on July 1, and I'm going to get everybody at the Modern to flood DPW or whoever it is.
Yeah, because we were
cars that are parked illegally in the alley.
Yeah, because we were very instrumental in getting the signs put back up on 4th Street to for the parking situation. With people going to the subway station and leaving their cars all day. So I look forward to getting with you, Debbie. I've met you before.
Okay.
So I look forward to getting your contact information and giving you mine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. And another reason why we do this, so folks can meet each other, know who the proper people are, and whatnot. So I'm glad this is working out. Also want to make sure I recognize the property manager from the Modern, Sarah. She's on the call. Sarah, thank you for being here. You've always been such a great resource and a helping hand, and you really helped out every way you could to make sure that ANC office of ours has internet. So thank you for that. We're not really using it yet too much, but I know once we do, we have all the necessary utilities and stuff like that already in there. So thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you. And also I did hear the comment just now about the alleyway.
Mhm.
That's also something I know we've inquired about and are also looking into on our end to see how we can help.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
because I've written you information in reference to the parking situation in the alley.
Absolutely. And I know we've spoken to Gordon and we're also looking into it on our end. So I'm happy to also be in the loop on that as we move forward.
Thank you, Sarah.
And like everything, just copy me on the emails. When you copy me, that means I see it and stuff like that. So copy me on all emails, please, because I always want to be in the know. Sarah, did you have something else you want to say?
No, thank you so much, though.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so we're doing great on time. Next up, again, Sean, thank you. One more thing I'm going to say, this is my third term, really working with, members of the Riggs Plaza family that's moved over to the Modern, worked with, residents of the Modern. And so everyone's a resident of the Modern at this time. And so, and so everyone's together. So I'm just glad to see that we're making strides. I know that this is a journey. This has been a process, but I'm glad to see where we are now, and I can't wait till this is all completely done because I'm still going to be here, with all of you as we go through this together. So just want to, and all developers aren't bad, right? We also gotta say that all developers aren't bad. And I think every time we've asked Sean or anyone from the K-Fritz to be here, be present, answer questions, good or bad, they don't shy away. So I thank you for that, and we're always going to hold you accountable. So just want to make sure recognize you too, Sean. Thank you, and let Paul know that as well.
I will do so. Thank you so much. Do you want me tomorrow, Gordon, to also speak at the full ANC?
It's not on the agenda, so
Okay,
I think we'll let's plan for May for that.
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Betty, did you have another question?
Just
Comment?
one thing, Mr. Cahill, I just want to let you know that I'm one of the transition persons from the property from Riggs Plaza. So I've watched the whole situation from the beginning and hopefully to the end.
Well, excellent. I'm glad you're with us, and you can call me Sean.
Okay, Sean.
Thank you, Betty.
Okay, this is good. This is good. All right, next up, updates from Rocket Ship Charter School. I think we are lucky to have both. I see my long-term friend and sister, Principal Angel McNeil, and I believe Regional Director Joanna Smith is on the call too, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll turn it over to Rocket Ship now.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to spend a few moments with everyone. I'm happily want to share two things. I'm going to talk about our reopening plan and how we have started to reopen our doors, as well as where we are in terms of next school year. So on March 15th, we happily opened up our doors to 44 students over the course of 4 days. So that's about 50% of our current total enrollment. How our kids are going to school right now is they are on a hybrid model where we have them coming in 2 days a week by grade level. Wednesdays for us are still fully virtual to allow for teacher planning as well as for deep cleaning of the building. We have right now, our kids are in school starting from 8 o'clock and they are dismissed at 3 o'clock. And our last day of school is until June 11th. So we have about 6 more weeks left of school before our kids are breaking. So we're excited. We provided our families with the option to come back. So right now we're actually running 2 schools, a online school as well as a virtual school for families who just weren't quite ready for their kiddos to come back. We're also in the middle of actively planning for next school year. Currently, per the mayor's instructions, we are planning to open up our doors 5 days a week for our students. with our hours starting about 8 o'clock. We're finalizing our hours for dismissal. I did want to clarify something that Commissioner Fletcher shared. At total capacity, we can hold 700 students. However, for next year, the rocket ship side, which will be kindergarten to 3rd grade, is slated for 175 students. With right now, 3 feet social distancing is what we are adhering to. But at full capacity, the building can hold about 700 students. We currently do still have space available. So if you know anyone who is looking for grades kindergarten all the way up to 3rd grade, I can drop my email into the chat because we do still have space in all of those grade levels. A big push for us next year, once we are fully back into the building, is to continue to partner with the community. Because of COVID, didn't really have the opportunity to be on the ground like we wanted to be, but are always looking for ways to get to know more of the community. I told this to Gordon, I told this to Miss Sherry as well when they came on Saturday, is that we don't just want to be this building that's here, we want to know how we can be a true community school once, COVID is not necessarily a barrier as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has or would like to know anything that I didn't quite share right now.
Thank you very much, Principal McNeil. Appreciate you for being here. And so I want to be clear. So I misspoke. It's not 700 in the fall, only 150 in the fall of 2021.
Just for the kindergarten through 2nd grade. I know Myron is here, so he can talk about social justice's numbers, but for Rocket Ship, 175 is what our target is right now, just for next year.
Got it. Okay. So I have to change my post also. So 175. That's good to know. And again, like I said earlier, I had the opportunity to tour the school. It's an amazing space. Really looking forward to children learning in the environment. And then, I know that Angel and Rocket Ship, Principal McNeil and Rocket Ship, the entire staff team, they're looking to be a community school. They're looking to be part of the community as much as possible. Angel has been going to a slew of meetings, virtual meetings. Her team has North Michigan Park, LRCA, ANC 5A, SMD 5808, and so on and so forth. So, and again, we're holding everybody accountable, right? We're going to make sure we keep having these meetings and we hold folks accountable to what they said they're going to do for this community. So any questions, any comments, anything for Principal McNeil at this time?
Yes, I think you did an awesome job, Ms. McNeil. I think it was amazing to go to your school, to visit your school, and to see the security and how you have it seemed like you thought of every little tiny thing for your kids. Everything was about those kids. I thought it was amazing, and I really loved it.
Thank you. I can't take credit for that. It's an amazing team that is behind me to make sure that our building is secure and safe for our kiddos. So I definitely can't take all the credit for that, but I will pass that on to the team that worked around that.
And I would like to have some information about your school so I could pass out in the building if at all possible.
Yep, I'm back on campus on Thursday, so why don't we connect? And definitely we'll be happy to share flyers that we have when I'm back. In the building.
No problem.
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Okay, great. Betty, yes, please.
Yes, Principal McNeil. That's my little walking tour in the evenings, and it's very nice. The school is very nice, very nice. So I just wanted to let you know that I tour in the evenings in that area.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. And again, for constituents, for residents, we just heard from reps from Our Place at Fort Totten. We just heard from Rocket Ship Charter School. So now we're going to hear from Social Justice School as well, as we continue to hear from the leaders of these various entities and how we're all going to work together, because our community is changing. I think we all recognize that, it's changing, and I'm just glad that we're able to have these conversations so we all know what's going on together. And you can go and tell other people, because I know everybody on this call, you probably represent probably 50 to 100 people, your friends, family, neighbors, that you're going to let them know what you heard tonight. So now we're going to hear from.
Can I just add one thing to close out?
Please.
I dropped my email into the chat if anyone wants to connect, and then hopefully once we go through kind of like our COVID protocols and things like that, I'm always open to figure out a day or time if people want to come toward the building. I did talk to Gordon around my thoughts around ways, once we kind of get the green light, to have people throughout the building that we could also potentially partner based off of the need, because it's a big building with a lot of space. And so happy to welcome anyone who would like to come and see the inside.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, moving right along. Continue to do very great on time. Next up, we're going to hear from Social Justice School, which is led by Mr. Myron Long. Mr. Long, you have the floor.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Pleasure to see you all. I hope a lot of familiar faces. Ms. Pate, Mr. Oliver, shout out to Morgan State, Ms. Williams, Mr. Washington as well. Super thankful to be here. So again, my name is Myron Long. I'm the founder and executive director of Social Justice School. I'm actually in the school because we had an event for some of our new families outside in one of our open classrooms or outdoor classrooms. So I'll provide a few updates. So again, it's just always a humble experience to be here as a native Washingtonian living in Brentwood, and went to Purdy Backus when it was still just a middle school in the 90s. So just always humble to be back full circle supporting the community. And so we currently have 53 students enrolled. And we actually had students in the building since September, and have had students pretty consistently from September all the way up until August. Up until now. Similar to like Principal McNeil said, our students are here on Monday, Tuesday, and then Thursday and Friday as well. And so, we've been, fortunate to get support to be able to provide, mask and hand sanitizer and 6 feet social distance within our pretty huge spacious classrooms as well. Next year, we are anticipating having about 120 students in the building and serving grades 5th, 6th, and 7th. When I came to you all at when I met with some of you all at the ANC 5A meeting, we had a commitment to being a community school where we serve the whole child and not just only a student in terms of their academic lens. And, we continue to commit to that. I just wanted to give you a couple of examples. So we've given out meals to over 70% of our students and families who are in need as a result of COVID-19. We continue to provide mental health supports for families who need it through a result of several different grants. We delivered over 65 care packages to our families as well, just because we know that families are, really struggling during these difficult times, and can continue to be committed to serving students across DC, but also, most importantly, our students in Ward 5 as well. So I'm actually in one of our hallways, so sorry there's a little bit of noise, and happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Long. I really appreciate your leadership and everything that you've been doing. You've also been staying committed to your word by being involved, being a part of the community. So we appreciate you very much. We're lucky. I think ANC 5A, 5AOA is lucky to have 2 really, really trailblazing schools, charter schools within our parameters. So any questions for Mr. Long at this time? Okay. Oh, yep.
Kudos for being a Washingtonian. Kudos. Yes, okay?
That's what it's about.
That's it. Worked for over 30 years.
I love it.
Okay, so this is something I'm going to go into our next agenda item. This is something I think, all entities, everyone could benefit from hearing about. Give me one moment. Share my screen.
Excuse me, Gordon, there's a question from you in the chat.
Thank you. I missed that. Hold on.
Is the target enrollment still 65 students for Social Justice School?
Yep. So we're still, accepting applications for, both this year and for next year as well. Thanks for asking that clarifying question, Luciano.
Okay. I don't want to move too fast. Any other questions or any in the chat?
Yeah,
Yes.
I would like to, I forgot what grade it start at and it's going to continue to go to. I forgot.
Yes, Ms. Pate. We started at 5th grade this year, so we have 5th and 6th grade. Next year we'll have 7th grade. And then in
Okay.
2023, we'll have 8th grade.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next slide, our next agenda item. So used to teaching. Next slide. Hold on. Okay. Did I share my screen? No. Okay. There we go. Okay. You all are seeing this now, right? So a couple months ago, let me see when. Yeah, so not that long ago, on March 18th of this year, ANC 5A, we had our first ANC public safety meeting where we could just focus on public safety issues. Anyone that's attended our ANC meetings or any ANC meeting, really, they have a tendency to go on very long, and so we don't have the opportunity to really dive in deep about public safety issues. Public safety is very important to me. The tranquility, the well-being of and our safety is something that I think we all can recognize is at our highest priority for both homeowners and those living in apartments. We all want to be able to walk safely in our community, walk our dogs, our children, whatever, right? And so we want to make sure that public safety is at the utmost. And so last year, I was glad that my colleagues and I, they supported my vision in creating a public safety task force, not just for ANC 5A, but for the entire, not for just for ANC 5A08, but for all of ANC 5A. And the public safety task force has been broken up, whereas each SMD or each commissioner, they can task an individual to lead the public safety task force for their respective SMD, right? Because ANC 5A as a whole encompasses over 10,000 plus residents. So when you think of it as a whole, it's a lot of people, it's a lot of residents. We're one of 5 ANCs. So if we can focus on getting some kind of plan together around public safety for not just ANC 508, but for all of ANC 5A, we're taking a chunk of public safety issues for all of Ward 5. And then we can present that to MPD, OAG, various agencies from a bigger perspective. So our first meeting, as I said, it happened on March 18, and we had certain keynote or certain individuals there, such as representatives from Office of Neighborhood and Safety Engagement, Keisha Barnes and Kimberly Pickney, as well as we had Silas Grant from Councilmember McDuffie's office, Judy Jones, chair of the Fort District Community Advisory Council, Kelly Olson from DDOT, because public safety encompasses more than just police, especially, when we talk about traffic issues and things of that nature, car chases, stop signs, things like that. And then, like I said earlier, we had members from Office of Neighborhood and Safety Engagement. Now, I also want to recognize Robert Oliver, who was the chair of the Public Safety Task Force for 508, and his help with around all of this. One of the things I could say we've done as a task force to date, just in ANC 508, is we worked with the community members, the HOA for Fort Totten Mews, to ensure that a light was placed in the pathway that connects Ava Way Apartments and Fort Totten Mews. In recent years, there have been a few crimes, few thefts, few things that have occurred in between that pathway, and without it being properly illuminated or a camera, which there is now, it's hard to really kind of mitigate and stop the crime in the future. So through the task force, MPD, DDOT, ANC 5A, we got that fixed. So that's a win for the community. And so since then, we put together this meeting, and at this meeting, we focused on key areas around safety for ANC 5A and ANC 5A08. Gun violence, as you see here, is number one. Commissioner McDuffie, who came into office just this January, is realizing that gun violence, robberies, and even the occasional stray bullet are flying through his neighborhood, right? And so even though that's 5A01, something that, Carmen Williams, the president of North Michigan Park Civic Association, makes sure she always tells me and others, we're all one community. Just because something happens in 5A01 doesn't mean it doesn't affect 5A03, 02, 08, and so on and so forth. So, so through Commander Griffin, he realized that gun crimes are slightly higher now than a year ago, but they have mostly been related to road rage. So, take from that what you want. Commissioner Lockett and neighboring ANC, my colleague, also brought up issues behind gun violence and the importance of addressing them to decrease crime, gentrification, systemic racism, a lack of job opportunities have been main factors that he's noticed. Commander Griffin addressed concerns regarding police allocation of resources during periods of increased gun violence in certain communities. The district has 3 sectors. Each sector has a living and moving crime plan. When gun violence increases, the plan focuses more on investigating and policing with gun control and violence in mind while putting the appropriate resources in place. Now that takes me to something that Mr. Oliver, Robert Oliver, the chair of the task force in ANC 508, we've been working on. Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement stated that each neighborhood can put together a neighborhood assessment plan, a neighborhood plan. And once that plan is put together and it's requested, that request is made for an assessment, Office of Neighborhood Safety Engagement will intervene and help develop that plan. So I know Mr. Robert Oliver has been working on this himself. If there's anyone here that would want to work with Mr. Oliver on working with Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement so we can move forward with requesting a neighborhood plan. I think that if we lead those efforts here at ANC 5808, then other ANCs such as 01, 02, and just around the ward will join that as well. I believe through the neighborhood plan, that's a way for us to have more involvement and community engagement, and we can increase community policing. So I want to stop there because I know I've been talking a lot. I want to stop there and see if Robert, if you had any comments, or if anyone else had any comments, any interests or questions around what I just talked about.
Excuse me, Gordon, can you increase the magnification on the text about the neighborhood assessment so that we can read it? Thank you.
Gordon, just let me say quickly, thanks a lot for the upgrade. Basically, this whole assessment thing is going to be very interesting because basically it is a organization that farms out most of the work that's being done so that the violence interrupters, those individuals who provide wraparound services, those are all through contractors. And so what we're going to have to do is work at 2 levels. Level 1 is obviously working with ones and getting something accomplished. And then 2 is that whatever we have gotten done, we need to make sure that the contractor sticks to whatever plan. So that's something that we're going to have to keep in mind. Also, very quickly, The Office of the Attorney General also has a very similar type of operation. And sometimes these organizations, the Violence Interrupters from Ones, the Credible Messengers, folks from DYS, they all might wind up in some instances supporting the same neighborhood. So that's something else that we have to worry about, is sorting out who has primary or who is doing what. So there's going to be a lot of work in setting this up and making sure that it runs smoothly. And just want to let anybody know that who's interested in getting involved, that it will involve some time and some investigation, but I'm welcome to work with anybody. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Any other comments, questions, concerns around what we just discussed? Okay, so, and I will say, I would love it if we had one or two more folks that would work with Robert and myself on the neighborhood assessment plan. If not, no worries. But I know that it will definitely help us in our execution. So if anyone is not, if you don't know right now, you can shoot me a message or email or a private text.
Can you text Robert my number?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Sherry. Okay. So next, traffic. We talked about traffic, property, and infrastructure issues. Again, when we talk about public safety is more than just violent crimes, even though that is of the utmost importance. It's more than just that. Okay, so first is sufficient street lighting is a major concern that has been brought up by the community. Commissioner McDuffie shared major concerns in his SMD around traffic safety. So lighting, that's something I think we all can attest needs to be fixed. So I'm not sure if there are any residents here that can attest to or want me to make note of lighting issues in their neighborhoods, in their community, as we work on this, because this is a living document for us. Next, DDOT representative explained that due to decreased traffic due to the pandemic, there have been many more opportunities for speeding. DDOT cannot put a speed bump. DDOT cannot put speed bumps in many places right now. But what they're looking to do is, to put in more speed cameras. However, I'm sensitive to speed cameras because speed cameras are also tickets, and tickets double. And if you don't have the money to pay the double tickets, then that's just a windfall, that creates issues for everybody. So, I'm sensitive to that, even, hoping that there can be some other solutions to traffic mitigation than speed cameras, although I understand speed cameras do also deter. So Commissioner Lucio and Lockett both emphasized the major need for more truck traffic cameras. The streets are not built for multiple trucks, and it is dangerous. Commander Griffin defined nuisance properties as properties where narcotics or weapons have been discovered or sex crimes have been documented. Now, this has been a concern. I think, Robert, you helped make sure that we had a representative from OAG here. Is that representative on the line at this time? Okay. If not, one of the things that we're working on is we understand that the definition of nuisance in the DC code makes it very difficult to label almost any property a nuisance property, even though there have been many instances that I've been privy to where someone's use and enjoyment of their property has been interfered with due to the actions of a neighboring property, right? And so I'm trying my best to be very respectful and not be accusatory, but just focus more on what the concerns are of the complaining resident, more so than the person who the resident is complaining about. right? So we have to find a way to potentially expand the definition of nuisance properties for it to be more inclusive. So I was hoping that OAG would be on the call right now, but I'll make sure that they're on the call at our June SMD meeting.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I might not have heard you reference OAG. My name is Jannard Butler. I'm the assistant section chief of the juvenile section from the Office of the Attorney General.
Great, awesome, thank you. I'm glad that you're here. Yes. So Gerard, we were just talking about nuisance properties. Yes. And how Commander Griffin, the commander of the 4th District MPD, stated that it's very difficult to label a property a nuisance property because the legislation is very specific around what is deemed a nuisance property. Is that something you could speak to at all? Is there anything that we could do to maybe potentially expand that definition a little bit, or you have the floor for that?
So I'll say this, that specifically is not my wheelhouse. I'm in the unit that focuses on juvenile prosecution. However, as part of the public safety division, I am aware of the nuisance statutes and it's my understanding that the council, the city council would have to adopt new legislation to change the language to better fit the properties and to include language that actually fit the descriptions of the properties as they are in the community. Unfortunately, with so much, with the way that laws are written, often they're not written with a specific property in mind, or people haven't given input as to what is actually deemed or what would deem it a nuisance property in their neighborhood. So that would be something that the council would have to take up.
Okay. That's still good.
I wish I had more information on that directly, but again, that's not directly my wheelhouse. But again, I've sat on numerous panels, and I try to come to as many ANC meetings as possible, and so I am definitely aware that indeed the nuisance statute right now is what I would call legally problematic, because and I should note I'm a homeowner in Woodridge, so I always love coming to your meetings. It's particularly problematic because each property, as you all are aware, that we as citizens deem nuisance properties have their own nuances, and the law around nuisance properties has to be more comprehensive, and thus citizens are going to have to sit at the table with council people and develop new legislation, put new laws on the books. That would be the only way to make it more comprehensive, unless perhaps there was an executive order from the mayor's office, perhaps expanding the definition of nuisance properties as a result of the increasing presence of nuisance properties in various parts of the cities. Those are the type of actions that I would suggest. Those are the channels I believe that would best accomplish what we hope to see happen to those laws, to that end.
No, and listen, Gerard, you might not think that was helpful, but that was helpful. It was, because at least for me as a commissioner, I know that it's important to hear from someone of your stature in that office, stating that, not because I know you're using your words carefully as well, that there is some problems with the current nuisance statute, that Absolutely. It's that as you stated, it's legally problematic, right? And so I'm going to go to my colleagues on ANC 5A, and hopefully they will support a resolution around around expanding this definition to make it more comprehensive.
Absolutely.
And so then I'll put that before Councilman McDuffie's table, and hopefully he will support that, because that's how this goes. So thank you. And we have a question in the chat from Ms. Uchenna Evans about her question is, can we add? Yes, you can. Do you want to ask the question directly, Uchenna?
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Since we have Mr. Butler here, I just wanted to ask him if he can speak to, there have been some high profile instances of youth crime, and specifically around carjackings that have unfortunately resulted in death, in serious injuries. Is that something, are those things that are prosecuted by your office, or are those handled by this attorney's office? Have you all had discussions about what seems to be kind of a serious increase in kind of very serious crimes by juveniles?
So to answer, there's layers to that question. And so, yes, one, obviously, I think all of us are intimately aware of one of the more serious and horrific carjackings that, turn into a homicide that we all, made the national news and whatnot. And that case is being handled directly by my office under my supervision in my unit. And so I guess the best way to answer your question would be, so the juvenile section of the Office of the Attorney General handles all major crimes committed by juveniles. As was mentioned in the beginning of the meeting, not just in your region of the city, but throughout the city, there's an uptick, a serious uptick, in fact, in carjackings and in gun-related violence, and even in homicides. A lot of those, an alarming amount of those, in fact, are being committed by juveniles. If any crime is committed in the District of Columbia by a person 16 or under, the Office of the Attorney General in my section handles the prosecution of that case. If it's committed by someone who's 16 and a day or older, the U.S. Attorney's Office would get what's called the first right of refusal, so to speak, in that the case would be presented to them first for them to determine, based on the nature of the crime, are we going to prosecute this youth as an adult? They collaborate often with us, and we kind of take a look at the case holistically, and we make the determination as to whether or not, but because they have first right of refusal, if it's a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old and they commit a carjacking, they're going to be charged as adults first. It'll go to the U.S. Attorney's Office because they prosecute all of the adult crimes in the city. But to digress a little bit, going back to what we were speaking about with regards to the nuisance statute, that is also something that obviously the Office of the Attorney General handles, but that is in our that's within our civil division, as well as our criminal division, which is also an arm, and that those divisions prosecute adults for ordinance violations. So the prosecution of crimes in the city is split between the two agencies, but I know your question is directly related to, the carjackings and the murders and a lot of the crimes involving juveniles. Yes, my office is handling those, and it is our number. I mean, I can't stress it enough. It is our number one priority right now. We are, us as myself in management and the rest of my colleagues in management. I mean, we're hiring and expanding our unit to bring in more prosecutors to handle more cases as they come. And we're addressing these issues as our number one priority every day. We are acutely watching all of the juveniles who have come under our purview that we recognize are kind of part of the chasm in the city surrounding the carjacking wave and the gun violence. Sad to say, but I heard the commissioner saying at the beginning of the meeting that there was a carjacking a week ago in your single member district, and I would venture to guess, because we get so many carjackings, that it's 50-50 that it was juveniles who probably committed the carjackings, because a lot of the carjackings are being committed by juveniles, unfortunately. So yes, we are one of the obviously adults are committing crimes as well, and the U.S. Attorney's Office handles those, but I can say wholeheartedly, I mean, it is something that we are trying to figure out strategies every day to curb this soon. And as you all have addressed, everything is, we understand the pressure that we're under, because we're intimately aware that everything is getting ready to reopen, and that perhaps that might open up the door for even more of an uptick. And God willing, that won't be the case. But yes, it is not only on our radar, it's our number one priority right now. My unit in the office, our number one priority right now is the carjackings and the gun violence in the city.
Ask a quick follow-up, Gordon. I don't want to hijack this portion of the meeting.
No. We have about 5 more minutes for this portion. So
So I don't know how much you can say, Mr. Butler, but it just strikes me with all of the, particularly with the carjackings, what's so disturbing about them is that often the youth have guns. And it just seems to me very strange that 13-year-old, 14, 15-year-olds would just be carrying guns. And my personal theory is that adults are directing these youth to engage in these crimes. I don't know if there's anything that you can say about my personal theory about that.
I mean, and it sounds like you're very acutely aware that there are very strict juvenile confidentiality laws in the city. So I can't talk about any cases specifically. Anecdotally, I think that your theory is spot on. It's a theory that we in the legal community in the District of Columbia have been positing for years. A little bit about me: before I came to the office of the Attorney General, I was a homicide prosecutor in Prince George's County, our neighbors, right? The most glaring difference in the prosecution of cases in Maryland versus the prosecution of cases in the district is that Maryland does it in the reverse. Juveniles in Maryland, if you are 12 years old and you commit a carjacking, you're charged as an adult at the onset. If you're 11, you're charged as an adult at the onset. And you then have the right in the state of Maryland to have a hearing in which the burden is on you, not on the state or the government at all. The burden is on you to assert why you should be prosecuted as a juvenile and not locked up for 40 or 50 years as an adult. And so what that creates in the DMV, and we all know how strict the laws in Virginia are. I don't even think, everyone knows how different and stringent the laws in Virginia are. There is a consciousness in this region that I do believe lends itself to adults in the District of Columbia potentially seeking out youth to do crimes on adult behalf. So, I mean, I don't have any, it is a strong legal theory that, I give my background to say, I think it's not just a district thing. I think people in Maryland will say, send a kid into DC, and if he does A, B, or C, we know what the outcome will be, because the laws in DC are not as harsh towards juveniles. My office and the laws in DC are very restorative justice minded. And so our jurisdiction of the prosecution of a juvenile ends when that person turns 21. So if a 13-year-old gets charged and prosecuted and convicted of homicide in DC, the most that can happen to them is that they be incarcerated until they're 21. That same 13-year-old go to Maryland or Virginia, and it's a totally different thing. And I don't hesitate to say that. I mean, I think that makes it obvious when anybody is deciding, when any criminal is deciding where to commit a crime, you go to the place where if you get caught, the penalties, and I don't know if there's any officers on Metro Transit will constantly say that youth in the city almost know to get it together when they're entering into Maryland or when they're entering into Virginia, because it's going to be different. So I think that there's merit to your theory. I think that that's something that, it's a part of the problem. I wish that I could follow that up with, and this is what we're doing to curb that. But, at this juncture, we're obviously, my office is focused on, stopping the bleeding, and stopping the bleeding means getting the perpetrators off the street and getting the guns off the street, to whatever extent we can do such.
No, Chen, is that good? Are you good now?
Thank you.
Okay. Look, that was enlightening.
Yes, it
That was
was.
enlightening. That was enlightening. In the interest of time, I'm not gonna go in depth with my responses, but we're gonna have a further conversation about that, because that was very enlightening.
Yeah.
And I would love to, all of the invites. I would love to come back and speak more about it.
Hey, listen. One thing here. Once you volunteer for something, I'm gonna hold you to it.
I know it. I know you will, and please do it. It's a pleasure and it's an honor.
Okay. Well. I can tell you right now. You can put on your calendar, Tuesday, June 22nd. Okay. And then,
I'll be there.
Okay, but I'll send more information at a later time. Robert, is there something that you still need to say, or can I move forward?
Well, hopefully this will be very quick. This is
Okay.
Butler, and we're throwing another thing in your wheelhouse. One of the problems with nuisance property in DC is that DC does not follow up when you have issues with people who are, I forget what the term is, but they're in subsidized housing. And DC is supposed to have a group that if you call them, they're supposed to speak with the people and tell them what's right or wrong. And 9 times out of 10, this never happens. So I know that this has nothing to do with you, but this is where a lot of the nuisance property issues are generated from, is that the folks who in the district who manage the subsidized housing are flatly not doing their jobs. And that's it for me.
Okay, and so to that statement, Mr. Butler, when you come back on the 22nd, I would like it if you could bring somebody with you that could speak to our nuisance questions further.
Absolutely, I'm a step ahead of you. I'm texting her right now. I'm telling her to put it on her calendar right now as well.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so a couple of things I want to just finish up here so we can get to community concerns. So if community members, if you or any residents in the neighborhood is having issues with around residents' behavior or potential group home issues, please reach out to DCRA. They are the go-to agency regarding any issues such as those. And if an individual is going through a mental health crisis and they appear to be violent to themselves or someone else, call 911. If their crisis is more long-term but not urgent, call 311. And you could also reach out to the Department of Behavioral Health at dc.gov or 202-673-2200. So those are just some other updates around mental health concerns in the community, as well as any issues with group homes, or because all group homes aren't bad. I want to make sure very clear about that too. Group homes have a place. However, there are some group homes that have created some kind of interference with folks' enjoyment of their property. There was a citywide ANC meeting yesterday where ANC commissioners across the city are putting together a resolution around group homes right now. So this is something that's being talked about across the city. And then lastly, we always talk to MPD about what ways we can help them as well. So if anyone wants to reach out to MPD, provide a helping hand to MPD, let me know. That's it regarding the public safety meeting. We're gonna have another SMD meeting on Tuesday, June 22nd. But also we're going to have a public safety meeting. So Mr. Butler, I'm asking you there are 2 meetings in June, but I'll send you dates for both because I know your presence will be very much needed at both of those meetings. So I'll send you both so you can confirm your attendance and your colleagues' attendance.
Absolutely. And I've placed my my email in the contact. Not only yourself, anybody that's on this call. I'm very, very, very responsive to email, not as much to my cell phone as I was pre-pandemic, because one of the things our unit created, we have a 24-hour hotline where we're presently, we're always monitoring any arrests in the city by juveniles. That consumes a lot of my vocal time, but if you all send me an email, I will get you questions, concerns, or invites. I will definitely get you a timely response.
Okay, great. And so now I'm going to go down to some community concerns. A couple minutes left. Just want to give some quick updates before I turn it over to any comments from the community. First thing, and I'm going to make sure I'll send all these flyers, this information out with my recap. But first here, let me see. So, okay, first, for those who need a COVID-19 vaccination to be brought to them, for homebound residents, once you can reach out to the vaccine. You can reach out to 1-855-363-0333 to make that appointment for homebound residents. Okay, for COVID-19 vaccination to be brought to them. Walk-up vaccination sites, no appointment needed. You can call to find out different call centers. DC is now offering free at-home COVID-19 testing kits at 16 locations around the District of Columbia. Starting Monday, May 3rd, extended library hours. As we talked about, July 1st, we'll restart the dates for parking enforcement. In the fall, in 2021-2022 school year, in-person learning will be 5 days a week. That will resume for all DC public schools, and DC's new emergency rental assistance program to help households unable to pay rent and utilities due to COVID-19 is up and running. It's known as Stay DC. And again, I'm going to send these various, you can kind of see that I have them here. It's like a little hard to read now, but I'll send them out via email. And I'll have all this information for you as well. I want to recognize someone from the T-Mobile store that's located within my single member district. I believe she's on the line right now. Are you here?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm here.
Okay, would you like to just quickly introduce yourself and say who you are and the some of the different services that you provide?
Yes, definitely. So my name is Raleigh, and I am the store manager of the T-Mobile store at 5210 South Dakota Avenue, in the modern building right across the street from Bacchus. So I definitely wanted to take the chance, first off, to thank you guys for allowing me to have some time to talk and to introduce myself to the community. One of the things as being a tech industry and communications industry, our company is devoted not only to keeping you connected to your loved ones, but also being a voice in the community to assist with any type of communication needs that you have. So I actually really liked some of the things that I heard on this call. I also am a DC native, born and raised. So it's really important that I serve the community that we, service on a day-to-day basis. So some of the things that I wanted to basically let you guys know that we have available right now is we just launched a home internet service that is competitively priced versus Verizon and Comcast, as well as RCN, who are basically the internet and ISP providers for the District of Columbia. We now offer a service that is plug and play, and it is only $60 per month. So much less than what Comcast / Xfinity and Verizon offer. And it's something that you can install. So we're also trying to help bridge the gap for connections, especially now that we've seen that COVID has created so many technological issues for us needing to get connected. So also for the schools that are there, we have a project called Project 1 Million, where we are providing free home internet for any student that receives SNAP or EBT benefits or reduced school lunch. So for the schools that are there, I know that you probably have your own infrastructure, but if you do have any parents or anybody in your community that is in need of wireless internet for their home and for their children, we offer that solution. One of the other things that I wanted to talk to you guys about is, being a liaison for T-Mobile. T-Mobile and Sprint have merged into one company, so it is now only T-Mobile. So if there's anybody that you guys know that has Sprint, let them know that they are now able to come to our location. We're a service and repair center, so we do repair damaged phones. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about was safety on the internet for children as well as parents. So I have 2 kids of my own, 7 and 9, elementary school age, and this COVID pandemic has created new technological threats that we didn't really know that we had with our kids being home all day. So something that I'm extremely passionate about is keeping kids and parents safe on the internet by understanding how to protect your children from predators, also, any sensitive or adult content, how to protect children. So I just wanted to introduce myself, one, to the community, 2, to let you know that my team is here to serve you with anything that you need. And I would love for anybody just to stop past, come say hi. If you have T-Mobile or if you don't have T-Mobile, it doesn't matter. I'm just really grateful to have this opportunity to speak on this call, and I look forward to partnering with the community more. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And I will make sure to be there sometime soon to say hello, meet you in person with my mask on, of course. And so I want to thank Sherry Pate, Miss Sherry, as I call her, for making the connection. So thank you so much. We got a couple more minutes left because we're past 8 and I have another meeting, but I want to make sure, are there any other comments or concerns that need to be said before we sign off? Ms. Betty, you have the floor.
My concern is erecting that stop sign right there in the alley leading to, what's that, Galloway? That sign needs to be erected because it's just laying there on the ground.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. And then if you don't mind, because can you just send me an email about that as well? Okay, thank you. Daniel.
Hey, Commissioner, thank you for facilitating a really good meeting. This is my first ANC meeting, so I'm getting a feel for how it all works.
Okay.
But I
Welcome.
did have a concern about between Gallatin Street and Galloway Street, the Fort Circle Parks, they're constructing a trail through there. And there's just that pit that they constructed has stagnant water in there, and it had the same issue last summer. And it was just a breeding ground for mosquitoes. So every time you walk through that park, you just swarmed with mosquitoes. And I found contact information for the National Park Service, who looks like they own the property. But I just wanted to voice that concern here because I don't know if you have more sway or connections with whoever might administer.
Yeah. Well, not sway or anything like that, but I can, not that, but I could, I could definitely help with that. If you want to send me an email, that way I could use, my contacts to reach out and put you in connection with the proper folks so we could fix that problem. And thanks for joining, Daniel. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it looks like it'd be a really easy, just like make a ditch to get the water to drain out of there. But that was it. So I appreciate it.
No problem. Edwin, yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Edwin Washington, Executive Director of Parks Main Street. Just wanted to share that May is Small Business Month. It's DC Small Business Month. So be on the lookout for information about that. And then certainly in supporting the small businesses that from Galloway on South Dakota, from Galloway on up to Riggs Road and the Chillum, on up to the Hellbenders on 2nd Street there, and also on Manor Park. But also there's a couple things that are in the planning stages, the Riggs Park Art Crawl, looking at July 9th and 10th, and then Art All Night in September. So just stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Edwin. And I'll make sure that we get you on the agenda in May for the ANC meeting so you could bring some more greetings and updates. So thank you all. We're going to have another SMD meeting on Tuesday, June 22nd at 6:30. That'll be our final one. That'll be our summer SMD meeting. We have our ANC meeting tomorrow at 6:45. That's the meeting of the whole, committee of the whole. And so I just thank you all for being here. This was another good discussion. And you all stay safe as you have a good evening, okay? And take care.
Likewise.
Alrighty.
Mr. Fletcher, you and your wife.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Are you still in the neighborhood?
Oh yeah, we're not going anywhere. Yeah, we're here. We luckily found a nice home. Mrs. Bowser, we're their neighbors. So
okay.
we're here long term. Okay. I told you that I wasn't going anywhere. All right, I'll see you later. Right,
okay,
bye-bye.
take care and enjoyed your meeting, and thanks again.
Thank you.
And Deborah, I'll be in contact with you.
Okay.